LeBron James has been the face of the NBA since he came into the league, but after a recent injury, it appears as though his time in the league may be in danger of coming to an early end. In today's video, we're going to be going over the injury the superstar sustained and what it means for his future in the NBA. Stick around because you won't want to miss a single second of today's video. First up, what happened to LeBron James? LeBron spent the entirety of the last 2 months of the NBA regular season carrying the struggling superstar-filled Lakers to a potential playoff berth that they eventually missed anyway. However, in the process, he sustained an ankle injury that he was forced to play on and potentially aggravate even more than necessary in an attempt to will this team to a playoff spot. Late in March, the Lakers had a game against the New Orleans Pelicans in which LeBron accidentally stepped on the foot of Jackson Hayes, which resulted in James sustaining an incredibly nasty-looking twisted ankle. LeBron stayed down on the court for a few minutes in agonizing pain before being able to get up under his own power and finish the game. While I credit LeBron for getting back up despite the pain and choosing to be there for his team and lead by example by giving it his all for the remaining 30 minutes of the game, his all wasn't very much following the injury. LeBron was obviously slower than normal and was seemingly avoiding the dirty areas and definitely taking it easy for the remainder of the game. The Lakers lost the game despite having LeBron playing the entirety of it. The loss to the Pelicans was just one of the hurdles that the Lakers needed to overcome if they wanted any chance of keeping their playoff aspirations alive, and unfortunately, the Lakers simply did not have enough in the tank to make it to the dance. The injury that LeBron sustained kept him off the court for the next few games of the season, which could have been huge games for the Lakers, and if they had won them, they could have potentially pushed for a playoff spot. But after being checked by the team doctors and receiving round-the-clock care, the medical staff decided that LeBron should stay off the court until the swelling has gone down, which forced LeBron to stay off the court for a few games and ultimately resulted in LeBron and the Lakers missing the playoffs, a fate that pretty much nobody could have predicted at the beginning of the season. But how will this injury affect LeBron going forward? Next up, will LeBron be able to be the same player after this injury? Let's not get anything mixed up here. LeBron is definitely a top 5 player in the NBA despite his old age. His basketball IQ alone is enough for any team that can afford him to want him. But even so, he has proven that he's not slowing down in his old age. He's still leading his team in time on the court, usually playing a full 45 when he's in the lineup. Additionally, LeBron has missed very few games over his career due to injury, which is always a great sign of longevity when it comes to veterans. If he has spent the majority of his career healthy, he clearly knows how to keep his body in tip-top shape, which should prove helpful in terms of playing for as long as possible. But still, it is hard to disregard this injury when it comes to signing LeBron in free agency this summer. LeBron's deal with the Lakers is over, and I can pretty much guarantee that LeBron will want to leave the Lakers and go to a different organization. But how many teams will be willing to fork over an incredibly large sum of money to an aging superstar who just sustained a decently serious injury to a part of the body that's crucial in mobility? An ankle injury can spell doom for a player of LeBron's age, especially in a sport like basketball. So, will clubs have some reservations when it comes to signing LeBron? I think the answer is yes and no. I think LeBron is looking to the future. He has won 4 championships and has proven that he is the best player in the modern era. He really doesn't have much left to prove, as it's seemingly impossible for him to win more championships than Jordan at this point. So what are his intentions in the NBA? Well, I think LeBron's only worried about playing with his son Bronny at this point. He's made it very clear that he wants to step onto the court with his son in an NBA game, and I think he's doing everything he can to do that at this point. So what does that mean for LeBron, and how will it affect him in the 2023 free agency class? LeBron will obviously sign with whoever drafts Bronny in 2023, which will most likely be a bad team due to Bronny basically being a packed deal with LeBron, which ensures that Bronny will be a high draft pick. So what does he want to do in the upcoming season? Does he want to win? That may sound like an obvious yes, but think about it. If LeBron wants to win again next season, that means he's going to have to play 45 minutes a night for 82 regular season games and at least 20 playoff games, but most likely more, because I doubt that he sweeps 4 straight teams on his way to an NBA championship. With so much court time, LeBron's risking getting injured again, and an injury at this age could spell the end of his career. Is LeBron willing to risk getting injured to secure another championship, but simultaneously sacrifice his opportunity to play in the NBA with his son? That has yet to be determined. So what should LeBron do this summer, and how will it affect his future in the NBA? Next up, what will LeBron do in 2022-2023? LeBron signed a 2-year contract with the Lakers after they won a championship with LeBron in 2020. The intention for LeBron was to stay on a super team until his son was drafted into the NBA so that he could win preferably 2 more championships prior to playing with his son. That way, he could prove that he is the best player to ever play and then retire on top of playing with his son for his final season. It would have been a great story, but now the Lakers have washed this past season by missing the playoffs, which is sending LeBron into a win-now mode, as he knows that his odds of winning on whichever whichever team drafts Bronny are not incredibly high. So will he stay with the Lakers or will he be traded? The NBA is no stranger to sending blockbuster trades involving superstar players, so it's not unlikely that the Lakers sell their assets to rebuild for the future. I mean, if the Lakers lose LeBron to trade, I'm certain that Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis will want out as well, which will effectively behead the three-headed monster that forgot to show its fangs when it really mattered this season. So where would that leave LeBron? Well, if he wanted, I'm sure that he could coax any team he wanted to play for into trading for a single year of his contract in order to push for a championship, much like the Toronto Raptors did when they traded for Kawhi Leonard with the purpose of pushing for a championship, which of course worked out. So which teams would be willing to trade for a huge contract in hope of securing an NBA championship? I could see the Timberwolves, the Bulls, the Hawks, and the Raptors all being interested in LeBron James in the offseason in order to push themselves over the top and win a championship. Obviously, the Bulls are the best of the teams I mentioned and could be a very deadly team with the duo of LeBron and DeMar DeRozan, and could very easily push their way through the East and win a championship next year. I can't see any of the Eastern powerhouses beating a team like this. The Bulls with DeMar and LeBron would outplay the Bucks and the Nets in my opinion, although the Nets especially would be a tough challenge. But if LeBron can essentially single-handedly defeat the Golden State Warriors back in their prime, then I think he and DeMar can dismantle the Nets if they play to their best. Moreover, I think the Raptors being the only Canadian team puts them in a very difficult position, as it's difficult to lure big free agents to play outside of the US and get taxed much heavier than any other team in the league. So if they can find a way to trade for LeBron, it may be the Kawhi situation all over again, and just could be the push they need to win their second championship in franchise history. The Raptors know that the only way that they're getting elite players is through the draft or through trades, and essentially cannot afford to rely on the free agency, which makes them a prime candidate to attempt to secure LeBron through trade this offseason. That's all we have for you guys in today's video. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all in the next video.